Hey everybody, it's Kelly O'Black with the Stash It Monday. I wasn't actually on the schedule, but we're doing a special collaboration with the Sketches in Time blog this week, and I love their sketches. I often use them in my own work, so I thought I would join in on the fun this week. And this is our sketch. It's a great sketch, and the cool part is it has a vertical and a horizontal photo orientation, which is really hard to find. Unfortunately, I didn't have a vertical and horizontal photo that needed to be scrapped together. It's so funny because I struggle with this. I'm definitely going to save that sketch though. So I'm starting out with two photos here from last fall, and I'm going to be using the Simple Stories Hello Fall collection. I dug into my stash to find those. And the collection isn't all that old. It was from this past fall, but it is fall and it needs to be used up. And I do dig in and find a couple of pretty old elements, two other much older elements that work with this. So the background paper there is from Simple Stories Hello Fall, and it's the harvest season paper. And then that orange dot paper that I just cut down is the sweater weather paper. And the plaid paper is also the sweater weather paper. They're just the reverse side of each other. So I think the plaid is the A and the orange is the B, but whatever, it is what it is. I'm also going to use that acorn border there. That strip is from the 2x12, 4x12, and 6x12 elements. It's the cut apart sheet, or one of the cut apart sheets from Hello Fall. And then I was thinking about using that orange circle journaling spot and ended up using a navy one instead. And I don't know if you noticed what I just did here, but that plaid piece of paper was actually supposed to go over the top of the orange, and when I trimmed it again, or when I trimmed it, I put it behind it. And I realized it partway through this, but I think the photos were already glued down, and I just decided to leave it as is. And it still works great. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. It's just, I think I'll have to scrap this, use this sketch again, just because, and I definitely will save it, but maybe try to use it again just to see if I can do it the other way and see what happens there. So that journaling spot that I used there, the navy one, is from My Mind's Eye Lush 2. It's from the journaling pad in navy, and that's from 2011. So that is a very old element. When I realized I was going to be using some blues, I decided to actually try to use that piece. All right, so I've just trimmed my acorn border down there a little bit. And one of the things that I really realized is that I needed to get the edges of all of these pieces inked together, or inked in a vintage photo, because first of all, it made them look a little bit more fall-like, but it also really kind of brought them together. And it really helps pull some of those pieces off the background as well too. So I'm going to trim up that orange paper just a little bit more, and I don't remember if I said what ink I'm actually using. I'm using Tim Holtz Vintage Photo, which I often use to ink layouts and pieces. All right, so I have that down now. You know, I kind of have my main sort of clusters down and the way I like, you know, the way I like them here. You'll notice that I have pulled some chipboard alphabets there, and I'm spelling the word uncle there, which isn't going to make any sense for a little bit yet, so I'll save that when the time comes. So now I'm just playing with the arrangement here. Because I ended up putting that plaid piece over the underneath instead of over the top, I was having a hard time reconciling that piece because it looked like it was coming right out of the center of the layout, and I didn't really love how that looked. So I played a little bit with that before I figured it out. All right, so now I'm going to get that green strip of paper inked up. It looks like it's a chevron here in this particular use of it, I guess. And that green strip is from the Hello Fall Celebrate Fall paper. And there is an element on the layout that has that strip on it. Now, the journaling on the sketch is done in strips. I used a journaling spot. I tend to use journaling spots, but just so that, you know, that's a little bit of a difference. And I realized that it's up I'm going to realize this in just a second. I get the green down and then realize, oops, it's up a little bit too high. I needed to come down one more line, and then when I did that, I was just kind of making sure that the journaling spot was in the right spot as well too. See, now when you look at that, the journaling spot's a little bit high, so I'm going to pull that back off and get it back on there. Now there is a plaid acorn under there, but I want to get that hidden just because of the way the journaling card sits there. All right, so as I did that, then I realized I hadn't glued down the plaid paper, and then I hadn't inked it either. So one of the things I'm doing here is just as I'm working, I have the sketch out in front of me on my tablet, and I'm just looking at that sketch. Okay, so in the sketch, there is a scalloped edge to one of the papers, or some sort of scallop anyway. So I am taking my EK Success emboss dot punch, and the dots don't emboss if you don't press down very hard, or they emboss so minimally you don't really see it. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how big I want this and where that's going to stick out. So I decided, and I'm going to even it up with that edge of the acorn border there. The reason I decided to do that is I already have, right in that general area, I already have 3 different sort of orientations of how far over they go. So I decided I would get that to even up. And I cut off one more scallop there to make it make sense, to my eye anyway. So there is the border now, and I'm going to get that on. I'm having a hard time trying to decide, making sure this lines up though. So I turned it upside down. For some reason, when it was upside down, I could see it a little bit better. This looks so fast in fast forward, obviously, but the whole layout, including paper choices, took me about 47 minutes. The part you're seeing took about 42 minutes, I believe. So I'm now looking at my letters here, and these come from Jelly Bean Soup. They're one of their bean board alphas, but I didn't have the name of it there, and the color's brown. I didn't like how it kind of fell off the edge there, so I grabbed one of the die cut pieces. That's the die cut flower there, and that is from the Hello Fall Bits and Pieces. That's what they call their embellishment packs. So I'm just going to play around a little bit with how that flower needs to be positioned so that I can get, so that title now has a shelf to rest on, is the best way to describe that. I'm going to use my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive to put these letters down, since they don't come with any adhesive on the back of them. And I have that in a fine line bottle. Mine is the narrower bottle, and if you have problems with that, just put just a couple drops of water in and it will take care of itself. I've never had a problem with it since I did that. And in all the shifting and fussing with the die cut flower there, I actually, the E didn't stick very well there. So I put some more glue on it, and I realized the top of that photo wasn't down, and I really wanted to use that as an edge for everything to rest on there. So I went back and glued that down. I did think about there's a navy version of this alphabet too. I did think about using that navy version, and just discovered that I didn't have enough of the letters, and I didn't have enough that I could easily MacGyver anything for the ones that I was missing either. Like, I think I was missing an N. So I could have done the Z on it, but it would have made it even wider. All right, so I'm going back again to the Bits and Pieces pack here, and I'm grabbing some leaves, and I also grabbed some wood feathers from Freckled Fawn here. I wanted to use them because when I started thinking about this fall, for some reason fall makes me think of feathers. I don't know why it does. And I thought I would use them, but they were too big for the top. And then as I started to put pieces together, I decided I didn't care for them on this. So I did grab a chipboard acorn there, And that is from the Hello Fall chipboard stickers. And then on the top there I have an acorn sticker itself, and that is from the combo cardstock stickers from Hello Fall. I'll grab a couple of word strips as well too, and those are going to go into this mix as well. The one on the left kind of bottom right now says crisp and cool, and then the other one on the top will say sweater weather. So that was kind of perfect because I was talking about turning on the heat here because it had gotten cold, and I waited until November 12th to do that, which I thought was pretty impressive. I like to wait till the 1st of November if I can, because I live in a climate where we have a fairly long winter season. I just popped a little foam tape behind that acorn there just because the other acorn is chipboard, and I thought it would be a nice way to add a little bit of dimension into these clusters here. And I liked using those word strips. I have them on the sticker sheet and I forget to use them. So before I started the layout, I grabbed those 2 red word strips off of the sheet and put it just to my left on that wax paper there, just because that would help me remember to use them. Sometimes I'll do that. And the stickers weren't cut completely perfectly, so I just kind of added it in. Now, when I'm looking at putting that sticker down, I wanted to do it to the right, but the problem was it stuck off the orange piece of paper, and I didn't like that way that it looked. So I just stuck it off to the left, and that was, you know, good. Then I decided I wanted the title, now that I have the flower under there, I wanted the title to be a little bit longer, so I decided to put an exclamation point down there. And what I do sometimes with a piece that small as the period and the exclamation point there, or the dot and the exclamation point really, is I'll put it on the paper and then I just add the piece to it. Sometimes I didn't do it that time with the actual exclamation point part, but sometimes I'll do that too. All right, so I decided I wanted to add a little bit of something to the bottom of this journaling card, and I grabbed that little flower there and I put the ATG on it and then decided I was going to pop it up off of the surface there, so I just put some foam tape on there. I didn't have quite as much to say, and I just wanted a little bit of decoration on the bottom there. So technically I'm not using the rule of 3 because that's 4 then. And then I decide I want to actually put another word strip down there. And this one says cozy fall days. I'm not quite sure it was cozy, at least until the heat was turned on, because actually it was a very cold fall day. I think it was in the 30s Fahrenheit, which and maybe actually it might have even been less than that. It might have even hit down into the 20s. And I think that's why I decided it was time to turn the heat on. So I grabbed my Jilly Bean Soup Alpha Beans in Newburgh Navy to finish up this title, and this will make a little bit more sense now. I'm going to add the word crying above the uncle so that the full title is Crying Uncle, which is a slang saying. I don't know if everybody's going to understand this, but it's a slang saying in my part of the world that means give up, basically. So I was giving up and turning the heat on is basically what the message of this is, and it now made sense that I also use the exclamation point to do this. I did have to create an I there, so I took a lowercase k and cut everything else off and then trimmed it down a little bit to make the I. So now my title reads Crying Uncle, and it makes a little bit more sense. All right. Hope you are all well. Hope you enjoyed the layout. Please join us this week for our collaboration with Sketches in Time, and make sure you go over to their blog as well too. Talk to you soon. Bye.